The DD Form 1380 is how we document the injuries and pre-hospital care for the combat wounded. It is how casualty care information is communicated from the point of injury through the continuum of care. This ensures the casualty receives the best care possible, and the card becomes part of the permanent medical records. This not only helps them during the course of their treatment, but also serves as documentation for later in their military or post-military careers, which assists with ongoing health concerns and serves to support disability evaluations. Additionally, the de-identified information from the DD 1380 becomes part of the Joint Trauma Registry, which informs evidence-based process improvement and identification of best practices. This has already led to advances in tactical combat casualty care and contributed to better outcomes. The form is fairly self-explanatory, but let's run through the various areas so that you're familiar with everything before you need to fill one out yourself. The first entry is for the casualty's battle roster number. Battle roster numbers are usually dictated by unit-specific policy. Units should fill out demographic information prior to deployment. If, for some reason, the battle roster number isn't available, write the casualty's first and last initial, followed by the last 4 or 5 numbers of their ID number. For example, John Doe 123121234 is battle roster JD 1234. The medic will usually assign each casualty an evacuation priority and mark an X in the casualty's 1380 as urgent, priority, or routine. Occasionally, this is determined by someone other than the medic, often in coordination with the casualty evacuation team. The demographics section includes the casualty's name, last 4 of the social security number, their gender, their branch of service, and their unit. As I mentioned before, it is a good idea for everyone to fill out this information on their DD Form 1380 in their own joint first aid kit so it is available for any combat lifesaver. That section also has a place to document the injury date and time. The following section is the mechanism of injury, the M of a missed report. You may need to annotate more than one injury. Most of the descriptions and acronyms are pretty self-explanatory, but they include artillery, blunt injury, burn, fall, grenade, gunshot wound, improvised explosive device, landmine, motor vehicle crash or collision, rocket-propelled grenade, or other, where you would need to write in a description. The next section is for injury, the I in a missed report. They are diagrams of the front and back of the body, and this is where you would mark an X at the site of any injury on the body diagram. For burn injuries, you would also circle the burn percentage on the figure. If there are multiple mechanisms of injury and multiple injuries, draw a line between the mechanism of injury and the site of the injury. If you've applied a tourniquet, annotate which extremity it was applied to and when it was applied, as well as what type of tourniquet was used. After that, the last section on the front is for signs and symptoms, the S of a missed report. This is where you would document pulse and respiratory rates. The medic might also document blood pressure readings, oxygen levels, and you can annotate the casualty's responsiveness using the AVPU scale. When you turn the card over, the top section repeats the information on the battle roster number and the evacuation priority. The top section is for treatments, T of the missed report. Some of this is specific to the medics, like the fluids and medications other than combat wound pill pack, but several things can be documented by the combat lifesaver. The top line is for interventions that help with bleeding, such as tourniquets and their location, any wounds that were packed and dressed, or anything else. The next block is for airway, such as the NPA or other airway maneuvers done by medical personnel, such as a cricothyroidotomy, endotracheal tubes, or supraglottic airways. The following line is for treatments that help maintain the respiratory status, such as chest seals, needle decompressions of the chest, or placements of a chest tube, another intervention performed by medics. At the bottom of the fluid and medication section, you can document if you administered the combat pill pack, placed an ice shield, splinted a fracture, or applied something to prevent hypothermia or any other treatments. The next section is open for documenting anything else that you think might be important to help the next group of people caring for the casualty. The last section at the bottom of the page is where you would put your name and last 4 as the combat lifesaver, or the medic's name and last 4 if you're helping them document the care. There is a Defense Health Agency procedural instruction on the 1380 if you would like more information.